we are going to discuss about the classification of organisms. Now, before to start, we have already studied in class 6th about the organism. So, organism is a form of life that is capable of growing and reproducing. Organisms can be of one or more cells. If one cell, you have already studied about unicellular, more than one is multicellular. Now, organisms comprises of animals, plants, and bacterium as well. Now, what is classification? It is the arrangement of organisms into groups on the basis of their feature. Taxonomy. It is a branch of biology that is classified all living things. Clear? Now, as you can see, a taxonomic hierarchy is there where it includes kingdom, phylum, classes, order, family, genus, and species. Let us discuss in brief about them. Now, the first one is, if I take it, domain. It is the largest of all groups in the classification of life. Each domain contains a collection of organisms with similar property. Now, the next, kingdom. Before domain were introduced, kingdom was the highest taxonomic rank, and the kingdom are classified into 2, 3, 4, and 5, which we will be going to discuss in this chapter. Now about phylum, the plural form is phyla. The next rank after kingdom. It is more specific than kingdom, but less if specific than class. Almost 35 phylum in the kingdom of Animalia. Now about the class. Was the first general rank proposed by the Carlos Linnaeus, that the phylum was not introduced until 19th century. Almost 108 different classes in the kingdom Animalia. Now the fifth is the order, more specific than class. About family, and in or a familia, more specific than the order. For example, if I take carnivorous, you know it. If the moment I use the word carnivorous, in your mind comes the example tiger and dog. So this carnivorous. And if I talk about herbivorous, if I ask, better if I ask the example of herbivorous, you start saying goat, elephant, giraffe. So these carnivorous and herbivorous is the family. Clear? Now about the genus. Genera is the plural form, and it is more specific than family. Divided into two parts, we say it as binomial nomenclature. And the first is the scientific name, and the second is the species name. Since you have studied in history about Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, so this Homo is a scientific name, all right, and habilis, erectus, sapiens, they are the species name. Habilis, handyman, erectus, who introduced the fire. They were living in Asia and Europe. Sapiens, the early modern humans. With this Homo sapiens, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, with this Homo word is the scientific name. That is about genus. With the help of genus, we have categorized. Now about species. a very important in taxonomy, almost estimated around 8.7 million of different of organisms on earth, and vast majority have yet to be discovered. Clear? With this, it must be clear to you all about the taxonomic hierarchy. Now we are going to discuss about the advantages of classification. It makes the study of organism easy. It helps in identification of organism, to understand its basic feature, the relationship among each other, and it also provides information about the diversity. Classification of kingdom was done firstly by Carlos Linnaeus in the year 1758. Now, the reason for what this classification of kingdom was done, because you have studied in class 7th about the standard unit and why this standard unit came into existence in order to reduce the confusion. I mean the length. I gave the example in the class during the explanation of SI unit. For example, if the length is measured here in India in meter, in America in millimeter, in Australia in centimeter, so it different the same length is measured with different units. In order to reduce this confusion, the SI unit came into existence. So with the same way, this binomial nomenclature came into existence, in which the classification was being made so that the confusion should not be there. So in binomial nomenclature are the scientific name as well as the species name along with. So it was being universally accepted all over the globe. Now come on the topic, that is two kingdom classification. Here the two kingdoms are the Plantae and Animalia. Now here the plant there the study was being basically based on the ability to make food. The kingdom Plantae, that it was being capable of synthesizing, or they are the autotrophs which can make their own food and they stays in the same place. Now the Animalia kingdom was being proposed of all those organisms which are the heterotrophs, which cannot make their own food and rely on the autotrophs. Clear? So with this, I hope that the two kingdom classification is clear to you. We have already studied about the two kingdom system. Here we are going to study about the third kingdom system, which was proposed by R.H.Whittaker. He was a German geologist and he proposed it in the year 1866. Now, in the kingdom Animalia and the kingdom Plantae, they include multicellular organisms which are made up of more than one cell. And in the kingdom Protista, which was a new kingdom, and it was including all the organisms which were made up of one cell. We say it as unicellular organism. So his study was basically based on the number of cells, because in the year 1866, that time they were having the world was having more specialized microscope. Clear? The third kingdom system. Before the five kingdom system was proposed in the year 1938, Herbert F. Copeland proposed a fourth kingdom system which include Monera, that is bacteria. And after that, R.H. Whittaker, an American ecologist, in the year 1969 introduced the five kingdom system which included fungi into the group. And it was being proposed as the five kingdom system, which includes now Plantae, Fungi, Animalia, Protista, and Monera into it. I hope this part is being just an outline. We will discuss each one in detail. Now we are going to discuss about the kingdom Monera, that is bacteria. As you can see, different shapes are there in the bacteria. Now this kingdom Monera comprises a minute organism, bacteria, which can be observed only through a microscope. And this bacteria is found almost everywhere. The cell organism is unicellular. They are unicellular organism. They do not have a nucleus, so they are known as prokaryotes. Now here it means that they do not contains nucleus and contains nucleoid, and they are missing cell organelles. Cell organelles you have already studied in class 6. They are the mitochondria, Golgi, endoplasmic reticulum, centrosome, lysomes. You have already studied. So that part is missing in it, and the cell wall is also present. Now the mode of nutrition is that they can be autotroph, they can make their own food, or they rely on the others. They are heterotrophics. The examples are Staphylococcus, Rickettsia, Lactobacillus. Now this Staphylococcus and Lactobacillus you must be familiar with these two terms, because the formation of curd depends on these two bacteria. So they are so bacteria are not always harmful, they are helpful as well. Now what happens, these Lactobacillus and Streptococcus bacteria, which helps in the formation of curd, under the temperature 37 degree, if you put a small amount of curd, these bacteria reproduces and grow very fast in the milk, and they produces the lactic acid, which makes the taste of the curd sour. But if you keep it for if you prolong if you keep it for a long time, then the curd gets too sour that sometimes you are unable to eat. So in order to prevent this, we try to keep it in a cooler place to reduce the growth of bacteria. The other useful roles of bacteria and the harmful role we will discuss in the next slide. Now we are going to discuss about the harmful and beneficial role of bacteria. Now, why are bacteria important? The first is decomposition. As you can see in the figure, the waste is being thrown and slowly it decomposes. It means that it breaks down the complex material into a simple material. The second one is nitrogen fixation, converting nitrogen to form plant can use. Now here it means that it traps the atmospheric nitrogen and provide it to the plant during the process of photosynthesis, as nitrogen is very important part in the process of photosynthesis. Now if we talk about the human use, it helps in the food production such as curd, cheese, butter, vinegar, yogurt, alcohol to produce. Now digestion of waste, vitamin production of hormones such as insulin, and it also help as a form of NTB to cure tuberculosis. It also help in the industries during production of leather and fibers. Let's talk about the harmful effects of bacteria. Food poisoning. Bacteria such as Staphylococcus, we have already studied about this bacteria, which helps in the formation of curd, but it also brings food poisoning, which is not good for our health. Now this Staphylococcus and botulinum, which produces toxin in our food, which causes food poisoning. Now here, this botulin is spread through the contaminated food, and it creates problem such like constipation, tiredness, loss of head control, pain. Alright, now for the Staphylococcus, it give the symptom of skin infection, bone infection, skin infection like pimples, bone infection like pain and swelling. Now it also spoil our food. We have already discussed about the souring of milk. If we continue prolong it to leave it the curd, the formation of bacteria will be there, and that bring the curd very sour, and we will not able to eat. So in order to avoid this, we try to put it in our fridge so that the formation should stop and we can eat it. Now rotting of meat, fruit and other eatables are the harmful effects of bacteria. Now the diseases in human such like tuberculosis, cholera, typhoid, dysenteries are caused by the bacteria only. Clear? Now we are going to discuss about kingdom Protista. Protista means the first of all. Then within the braces you are seeing the first animal written. So Protista is the first animal, and the reason behind this is that because they are regarded as the ancestors of all multicellular eukaryotic organisms. Now here eukaryotic means, as you can see in the diagrams, that they all are having a definite or a true nucleus. And the examples which you can see are the amoeba, paramecium, euglena, chlamydomonas. Now, about the basic characteristic of Protista is that they are eukaryote, they are unicellular. Some are the autotrophs, but mostly are the heterotrophic in nature. They rely on the others for food, and they live where the moisture is there. The moist in soil or aquatic habitat they live. Clear? Now you can see the structure of amoeba, and they are found basically in the stagnant water, in mud, fresh ponds, ditches, slow running streams. As you can see on your screen, the shape of amoeba, it is basically irregular in shape, and it covers a thin, clear, elastic, semi-permeable plasma membrane. We say it as plasma lemma. Now here the cytoplasm is divided into two parts, that is endoplasm and ectoplasm. Now endoplasm contains all the cell organelles which we are knowing as mitochondria, Golgi, lysomes and the others. Now ectoplasm it helps the cell from the germ, so it tries to protect the cell. Now about the contractile vacuole. Now it tries to expel or excrete the excess water from the cell. Now the pseudopodium it plays a role in locomotion, means movement and food capture. This pseudopodium is from the comes from the word pseudopodia. Pseudopodia means, pseudo means false and podia means feet. Now here pseudopodia means, here you can look on your screen that different ways the amoeba can move. There is no definite projection through which it can move. It can move from anywhere. That is why it is having a false feet. We say it as false feet, pseudopodia. Now the cell membrane, we know it is a selective permeable through which certain substances can be in and out of the cell. Now the substances can be nutrient, can be water, or the waste material. A food vacuole, it tries to digest food, and nucleus, we all know, it controls the activity of a cell. This is about amoeba and different parts and along with the function. Now we are going to discuss about the fifth kingdom, which was introduced by R.H.Whittaker, that was included fungi. The characteristic of a kingdom is that they can be multicellular organism or they can be a unicellular organism. Now they also have a cell membrane which is selective permeable. The fungi gets nutrition and energy by absorbing and digesting from the surface they live on. I mean, they act like a parasite, or they can be saprophytes as well, which means that they can live on dead and decayed organic material. These fungi reproduces by spores. Clear? They are basically heterotrophic mode of nutrition which have eukaryote, means they also have a well-defined nucleus. And the examples are yeast, mushroom we say it as agaricus, bread mold is rhizopus, and lichens. Now here other different types of fungi are there: rainbow fungi, earth star, coral fungi, luminous fungi, sticky fungi, maddenwell fungi. Clear? Now these fungi are not always bad. It also like a bacterium which is having a beneficial role as harmful role as well. Let us discuss this in the next slide. Discuss the beneficial and the harmful roles of fungi. Fungi are useful since it decays the dead materials and makes the soil humic. It also decomposes in the sewage. It helps to make antibiotic penicillin, which was being introduced by Alexander Fleming. We eat mushroom. Yeast is also useful to make bread. Now bread, wine and beer. Why? Because yeast releases ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide by respiration, which makes the mixture fluffy and sour. Clear? Now to detect the fungi, let's talk about the activity. Take a slice of bread, which is very common in every house, and sprinkle the water and leave it for 2 to 3 days in an open area where warm condition is there. You will find rhizopus growing. So you can see the fungi over there. Now the harmful effects on human, that it causes human diseases either directly or through their toxins. It can cause diseases of plant and animals that humans are interested in. Example, crop. It destroys the crop, causes root and contamination of food. Even you can find on the pickle. It is very common. You will find fungi on pickles, a white net which covers the pickle and stings a lot. It can destroy almost every kind of manufactured goods, with the exceptions of plastic and some pesticides. So these are the harmfuls and the beneficial role of fungi. Now we are going to discuss about Animalia and Plantae kingdom, as we have already discussed in detail about them. So it will be a revision for us. Now two similarity and two difference between them is that the first similarity we will going to discuss, that they both are multicellular. Here multicellular means more than one cell organisms, they both are, and then eukaryotic, they both are having a well defined nucleus in them. Now the difference, Plantae is having a cell wall which is made up of cellulose, and these cellulose are basically having carbohydrate in it. Now about the animal cell, they do not have cell wall. Plantae cells are autotrophic in nature, they can make their own food. Animalia is having are heterotrophic in nature, which rely on autotrophs. Now Animalia, they further it is divided into vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are having backbones. The example are fish, frogs, snakes, and so on, and humans. Invertebrates, they do not contain backbone. Example, octopus and all the worms which are present, starfish. Clear? So with this, our kingdom part is over. It is very important part. It's a summary what we have discussed till now. Now we have separated the different kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, Animalia. Now the cell membrane. Now here the nucleus is absent in Monera and is present in rest of the all. Cell wall is present in Monera. It can be present or absent in Protista, and it is present in Plantae, present in Fungi, but absent in Animalia. The organization, the organism, it is Monera is unicellular. Protista can be unicellular or can be multicellular. Plantae are multicellular. Fungi, mainly they are multicellular, but they can be unicellular. Animalia are multicellular. Then a mode of nutrition, Monera can be autotroph or heterotroph. Protista can be autotroph or heterotroph. Plantae are autotroph. Fungi heterotrophs. And Animalia is heterotroph. A representative group, the Archaea or Eubacteria, the Protista, protozoan, algae or molds. Plantae, mosses, ferns, seed plants. Fungi, mold, yeast, mushroom. Animalia, animals with and without backbones, means vertebrates or invertebrates. Column. So with this, your chapter is over.